ideas that shape our worldview. The program also encapsulates personalities and institutions that make decisions that affect the lives of the people, one way or the other. And of course, we avail you, our listener, the opportunity of calling into the program and ask questions from our guest on the topic of discussion for the day. Once again, welcome to On Record, where every word matters. On the 1st of November 2021, a 21-story high-rise building in Ikoyi, Lagos, collapsed, claiming the lives of many victims, including the building's owner. Now, this year at the students' community in Edo State, a duplex building collapsed with students inside due to the current construction on the building. Now, at the start of the year, the Lagos State government commenced the demolition of various houses around the state on the grounds that the houses were built on drainage channels. Other instances have been made around the country where buildings have been taken down by the government as a result of not meeting standard building procedures. This brings us to the discussion of the country's journey to infrastructural progress and the question whether or not it is a government or individual responsibility. Has the country's government been effective in formulating policies surrounding the construction of buildings, and how receptive are the citizens in following the said policies by seeking out the standard information from the authorities before constructing facilities in the nation? The progress of the country's infrastructure is one of a joint responsibility between the government and its citizens. Hence, the government and citizens should be held accountable to one another, as laws must be set in place for standard constructions by government and followed by the people, ensuring safer facilities and structures around the nation. Now, in a moment, we will open the phone lines. That's 0700 1021 1021. 0700 1021 1021. And in the meantime, you can send WhatsApp messages to 0907 224 5018. 0907 224 5018. We're live on YouTube and on X, formerly known as Twitter, at High Impact 102.1 FM. And you can also watch us live on High Impact TV on Iconsat 42 degree east. So we'll take a breather here now and return to begin the conversation. Please stay tuned.
Something big is in town. Something powerful and majestic. A mammoth creation destined to become a legend by all who encounter it. High Impact Planet, Nigeria's biggest family theme park, with facilities designed for friends, families, or large groups under a relaxing atmosphere. Be welcomed by wowing displays of animatronics, thrill out with realistic arcade games, or enjoy a number of thrilling hot racing park rides. Experience the 5D and 12D cinemas and challenge your mates with bumper cars and go-kart races. Don't forget to slide into the ice rink or simply take time out to enjoy a pizza at our delightful restaurant and dessert spot, or at the exquisite club lounge. High Impact Planet, 12 Lagos Ibadan Expressway, Ibafo, opposite MFM Prayer City. Visit high-impactplanet.com for details and inquiries. Fun just got real.
Foment, foment, foment.
dive into the heart of action. Welcome to Sport Hub, where passion meets unparalleled excitement.
Mainu, oh, what a goal! Can the MMA champion!
Get set for the adrenaline rush of a lifetime as we bring to you the hottest highlight, the biggest stories, interviews, and the most thrilling moment from the world of sport. No matter what your favorite sport is, we've got you covered. From football to basketball, tennis, boxing, Formula One, and everything in between, we bring you the best from around the globe. Join us every Monday, 11 a.m. to 12 noon. Wednesday and Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on High Impact Television on Nikonsat 42 degree East. Welcome back to On Record, where every word matters on High Impact 102.1 FM. We're live on YouTube and on X, formerly on Twitter at High Impact 102.1 FM, and you can also watch us live on Nikonsat 42 degree East. Now, to join the conversation, you can call 0700 1021 1021, 0700 1021 1021, or you can send WhatsApp message to 0907 224 5018. 0907-224-5018. The topic for today is infrastructural progress, a joint responsibility, and joining us via phone call is Rashid Mohammed Ali Khan. He is a legal practitioner and former vice chairman of the Young Lawyers Forum, YLF, in Ibadan. It's a pleasure to have you. Good morning. Rashid, are you there?
I can hear you, but your line is very, very faint, sir.
Oh, what about now? Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, I can hear you now, sir.
All right, thank you very much for joining the program. We're talking about infrastructural progress, joint responsibility. Now, I'm not sure whether you are aware, there was a viral video earlier this week of a building that collapsed in Lagos around, I think, Orile Igomu. The building, just went down in less than 2 seconds, but according to reports, no lives were lost. I don't know whether you saw that video.
Oh yes, I've actually seen the video.
All right, so thank you very much. Now, before we move further, let me even start by asking what we've been having frequent building collapse these days. I mean, what do you think? What are the major causes? What can you pinpoint? Starting from maybe some people say it has to do with substandard materials used in building. Some people say people boycott, they don't go for, or maybe the federal government or the state government don't even do inspections. What are the major causes for building collapse these days?
Well, I'm actually I'm a legal practitioner.
Yes.
And one would not really, from the scientific point of view, by speaking as an engineer or a structural analyst, I would not really be able to give an exact answer as to why we have, buildings collapsing in that manner. However, what I can say is there appears to be non-compliance or failure to adhere with laid down rules with regards to what are the requirements, the specifications for making such constructions, where the necessary permits or license by government approved. And I'm sure for that building to have existed in the first place, whoever constructed or the owners of that property would have gotten some form of approval. So and this brings it down to the question of failure of government in all aspects, failure of followership, and failure also with regards to leadership. So, but we can just bring it down, to be honest. Although there might be other reasons why that property might have collapsed. For now, there has been no official report from the Lagos State government as to what could have been the cause for the collapse. We can only speculate at this point, but most often than not, one can always bring it down to perhaps failure on the part of the necessary government agencies to, inspect and ensure that, every due process is followed.
All right, now the next question falls under your purview. Are there, and if of course, if there are legal frameworks, what are the legal frameworks that govern building standards and infrastructural development in Nigeria?
Hello, come again, sir.
I said, what are the legal frameworks? The legal frameworks that govern building standards and infrastructural development in Nigeria.
Well, I know that for every state, and we equally have this all across the federation, we have the Ministry of Lands and Urban and Rural Development. They usually are the agencies that ensure that there are regulatory frameworks in place to regulate constructions of buildings, the specifications for materials, and even the approval of sites or allocation of sites for one or two buildings. So once those institutions themselves are not performing optimally, there would of course be problems. You equally have, with regards to the materials, the Standard Organization of Nigeria is the organization in charge of ensuring that whatever specification or material which you use, be it coppers, be them cement, be them wires, or any form that you would use on any particular property, there are certain specifications or standard specifications which they ought to meet. But most often the materials which we have in circulation, to be honest with you, do not really meet those specifications. And unless you decide, and this is the bitter truth about our society, unless perhaps you're very, very, very informed and aware of the shenanigans that goes on within the market area, you will not be able to get original products or products which meet certain standard specification of the Standard Organization of Nigeria, to ensure that whatever construction you're doing can last the test of time. Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Now, this particular body you mentioned, Standard Organization of Nigeria, do you think they are doing enough in, how I put it, reading the market of substandard materials?
To be honest with you, I do not think they are. But you see, I'm at the point where, as a Nigerian man, also, if you look at the law enabling such organizations, Nigeria is one of those countries where you have wonderful laws. Our laws are very, very, very good. All they just require are reforms. But we're at the point where the laws are not functioning because there appears to be an unwillingness on the part of those who are to enforce the law, and also an unwillingness on the part of the people to cooperate with those who are to enforce the law. If you are, the Standard Organization of Nigeria is also being manned by Nigerians. So if Nigerians as individuals have problems, then why won't an organization manned by Nigerians also be problematic? So I think we shouldn't even look at it from the angle of whether they are not doing enough. But there's also a need for us to, reorient and perhaps sensitize our people on the fact that if you decide to make certain constructions or if you decide to erect a building that is not standard, you are engaging the lives of a number of persons, which, like they say, be careful of throwing stones in a glass house. You never can tell what would happen. So I feel like the last time we had an organization that was in charge of regulating end products that was so efficient was, to the best of my knowledge, during the time of Dora Akunyili. Of course, I was still very, very young then, but she was a prominent face against the fight for all sorts of substandard products. But that house was in relation to drugs. But that was the last time we had someone with such a bold face to ensure that things were done properly with regards to products meeting certain standard specifications.
All right, thank you very much. Now, I want us to streamline this deeper. When you talked about enforcement, lack of enforcement of our laws. Now, when we look at enforcement of our laws, we have the police. We also have the Ministry of Works and Housing.
I didn't get that.
Now, you mentioned that one of the problems we're facing is lack of enforcement of laws. Am I correct?
Yes.
No, so I'm saying that is it on the part
just
of?
Like I said.
Yes, I'm about to ask the question.
Like I said, those organizations that are in charge of ensuring the enforcement of certain laws.
Which organizations,
And also in ensuring
basically?
The Standard Organization of Nigeria, for example,
Okay.
the Ministry of Lands,
Okay.
Urban Development,
Okay.
you have Organization of Quantity Surveyors, and so many other organizations that exist to ensure that buildings, constructions meet certain specifications. Some of them, their functions are statutory in the sense that it is backed by federal legislation or state legislation. Some of them are organizations which exist to regulate the conduct of their members or to regulate the conduct of practitioners. All of these organizations or associations or ministries are manned by Nigerians. The laws exist, very, very wonderful laws exist to safeguard against what happened in Lagos, which has now become a recurrent, issue. But however, these organizations or associations are manned by Nigerians. Nigeria is at a place whereby our problem is no longer a question of laws, but a question of individuals that are expected to man or enforce those laws. So if you have someone who perhaps is incompetent to, spearhead a particular organization or head a particular organization or spearhead a particular enforcement agency, there would of course be problems, because there will be persons who deliberately would want to circumvent the process. And if the individuals who are in charge of ensuring that the process safeguards against certain things do not, do the needful, there would of course be non-enforcement, and would have more and more occurrences like what happened in Lagos. Interestingly, if you observe, most of the buildings that appear to be collapsing are not new structures. So we also have to be very careful. At this point, we're only speaking on conjecture.
Welcome back. It's still on record on High Impact 102.1 FM, where every word matters. And we're still talking about a very interesting topic. It's infrastructural progress, a joint responsibility with Rashid Mohammed Ali Khan. Ali Khan, he is a legal practitioner and former vice chairman of the Young Lawyers Forum in Ibadan. Now, so I'd like to ask you a question quickly before we go on a break. Do you think... All right, let's quickly go on a short break and we'll be right back.
It's been raining mediocre. Repetition. High Impact Radio, 102.1 FM. The future is now. High Impact Radio, 102.1 FM. The future is now.
Welcome to the high side of life. Join us every day at High Impact 102.1 FM, your urban lifestyle station.
I just want to be
Something big is in town. Something powerful and majestic. A mammoth creation destined to become a legend by all who encounter it. High Impact Planet, Nigeria's biggest family theme park with facilities designed for friends, families, or large groups under a relaxing atmosphere. Be welcomed by wowing displays of animatronics, thrill out with realistic arcade games, or enjoy a number of thrilling heart-racing park rides. Experience the 5D and 12D cinemas and challenge your mates with bumper cars and go-kart races. Don't forget to slide into the ice rink or simply take time out to enjoy a pizza at our delightful restaurant and dessert spot or at the exquisite club lounge. High Impact Planet, 12 Lagos Ibadan Expressway, Ibafo, opposite MFM Prayer City. Visit high-impactplanet.com for details and inquiries. Fun just got real.
Foment. Foment. Foment.
Welcome back to On Record, where every word matters on High Impact 102.1 FM. We're live on YouTube and on X at High Impact 102.1 FM. And you can also join the conversation by calling 0700 1021 1021, 0700 1021 1021, or you can send WhatsApp messages to 0907 224 5018. We're also live on High Impact TV on Niconsat 42 degree east. We're still discussing the topic, infrastructural progress, a joint responsibility, with Rashid Mohammed Ali Khan. He is a legal practitioner and former vice chairman of the Young Lawyers Forum, Ibadan. Now, I would like to ask you a question. What challenges do you think the government is facing in enforcing some of the policies regarding building standards, and how can they be addressed, to prevent future infrastructural failures?
Well, I think I'll be very honest with you. I'm one of those who feel when it comes to resources, the country does not really lack resources. But there appears to be a lack of political will to ensure that certain things are done the right way. And if you look at it, with regards to enforcement, we have sufficient parastatals that can assist in compliance. And if you want to enforce, usually there are ways ministries can always apply to, they go on inspection. There are times when they go on inspections. You go on inspections to verify or to ascertain that certain approvals or licenses that were earlier issued are being followed with strict compliance. So I'm of the opinion that the issues being faced by the government appears to be perhaps an unwillingness on the part of the populace to do the needful. But that also boils down to the fact that if leadership is not, put in place properly, there would also be poor followership. So I feel it's a question of lack of political will on the part of the government to ensure that the right things are done. You hardly find these structures that at times you see them collapsing. If you investigate properly, they do not collapse in areas where you have, quote and unquote, the elite. They're usually within their areas within where you have the downtrodden. So if you check it very well, I feel it's just lack of political will to ensure that the dividends of good representation is felt by the people.
All right. Now, in cases of building collapses and unsafe structures, what legal liabilities do building owners and government officials face, and how can accountability be ensured?
Now, there are a number of implications for erecting a structure that does not meet specifications that would make them habitable. Now, one could also be charged for offenses that are as grave as endangering the lives of others. And could go as, because if you erect a structure if you erect a structure and there is clear indication of negligence on your part, one could be charged for grievous offenses for as high as, be it murder or manslaughter, depending on whatever result one gets from whatever investigation that is conducted. So most often than not, if you investigate, you will see that it is just negligence on the part of whether it is the contractors who perhaps deliberately decided to use inferior materials in prosecuting certain constructions, or negligence on the part of government institution in inspecting and ensuring that certain constructions meet certain criteria or are habitable when they become completed. So whichever way you look at it, one can file an action. Whoever is aggrieved or whoever has suffered any form of harm or distress or loss can file an action that would involve whoever has constructed the structure, the owners of the structure, and even government agencies who ought to have done the needful in ensuring that those structures or erections meet certain specifications. And if one is successful, the penalty or the damages could be very, very heavy, depending on how whatever claims or reliefs is couched before the court. And they could also be political. There could also be political consequences, because it would also show incapacity on the part of government to ensure that the needful is done.
All right, thank you very much. Now, how can we address the challenges of maintenance, upgrading, and rehabilitation of existing infrastructures?
And I think, and this is also apt, because if you look at it, the topic has to do with responsibility being dual. Yes, and it boils down to the fact that most often than not, we just apportion the blame to government, but it is a function of both sides. The government institutions will do the needful, but the people also have a responsibility. Once you observe, at times you do not need to be an engineer or an expert in the area of construction to see that there's a particular structure, or there's an ongoing construction which, from all indication, appears to be, you do not feel comfortable with the fact that there appears to be certain aspects of this construction that might be questionable. One can write to the necessary government agencies, expressing your fears that so and so structure might pose an environmental problem. The institution in charge of environmental issues is NESRIA, be it noise pollution, environmental pollution, and I dare say one can even extend it to as far as issue of construction, because it can also be a form of pollution if a structure, perhaps warehousing very, very volatile or sensitive products or chemical product. For example, collapses in an area where it is, strong, it is vastly habitable, or, strongly there's a large number of residents within that area. If such a structure should collapse, those harmful materials or those materials could, spill out, and the people would be on the receiving end. So most often than not, the government has a very important task to ensure that our institutions are up and doing, and also the people also have a duty to ensure that we are vigilant and report as early as possible when we discover that certain things are being done in an unconventional or in a dangerous manner, if I would put it that way.
All right. Now, at the start of this year, the Lagos state government, they commenced the demolition of various homes around the state, on the grounds. At the start of this year, the Lagos state government commenced the demolition of various houses around the state on the ground that the houses were built on drainage channels. Now, in a case like this, when the owner of the house, is part of the people whose house were demolished, what are the legal remedies for infrastructural failures and disputes between the government and the citizens?
Usually, these are land matters, and if you have a good title and you've gotten the necessary approval for you to erect a structure, so long as you've acquired without notice or nobody informed you that the area which you've acquired was actually a drainage or a pathway for the easy access of water or anything, you could have a claim for recovery of whatever it is you've spent, but that is dependent on you having very good title. One could sue the government that as at the time when you allocated that particular property to me, nobody informed me, or whatever master plan or whatever plan which you gave to me did not indicate or show that what I was acquiring was on top or was going to be obstructing a right of way for the ease or the flow of water. So, but I know also the government also has the powers to bring down certain structures that have been erected in places that could pose a danger to the larger majority. So whichever way you look at it, if you feel aggrieved and you have very good title and you have a case which, on the face of it appears to be strong, one can approach a court of competent jurisdiction, because at the point where your structure is being pulled down, of course once you have a valid title, you could also be, there are mechanisms involved, or there are cushioning effect with regards to compensation. Most often than not, when government embarks on exercises of this nature, the affected persons would have been compensated once the government is convinced, based on available evidence before them, that these persons have very good title. Compensation will be given. Those structures will be pulled down, and whatever compensation that has been given ought to be sufficient for those persons to relocate or to acquire property elsewhere. Of course, there will be issues with regards to movement. Once a place that you've been using as your dwelling house for a number of years, it will be inconvenient. It will be inconveniencing for that person to move to another place. But your convenience should not be at the detriment of the vast number of persons who will be affected in the event that there is flood or any form of natural disaster.
Right. Now, instead of demolishing substandard buildings, are there, or what alternative strategies could the government implement to improve safety and compliance?
To be honest with you, just take preemptive steps. And I think Lagos State, I want to believe, has an automated system that covers all of its land. So if you have a central automated system that, if for example, IVAT intends to acquire a property in the Ogomu area of Lagos, and all of that area is being covered by a digital system where if I say I want my land in point A, the moment you click on point A on your server, it would immediately showcase that, point A actually has been, marked for perhaps it is a park or a drainage. Then you know automatically that part cannot be acquired. It has to be left for that purpose. Because at the moment you start chicken with your master plan, you begin to create problems. So it's always important that if there is an existing master plan or a template for what you intend to do, you stick to it. It does not become compulsory that every other person must acquire land within an area that is strongly populated. There are other areas that are outside. All you just have to ensure is that there is ease of movement for persons, whether you're living very close to the center or far away from the center. But I'm an advocate for strict observation or strict compliance with whatever master plan exists for a particular area. The moment you begin to tweak with it, you begin to create problems. You have a situation whereby, because an influential individual has acquired land in an area that ought to be a drainage, you then begin to look for alternatives as to for where that drainage will now pass. So usually, things like that, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
All right, thank you very much. Now, this particular area that you just touched, it reminded me of what happened in Ibadan. I'm sure you're familiar with a particular radio station that parts of the building were demolished by the state government, the former administration, owing to the fact that they said the building did not, or the building infringed on the master plan, and I think it was close to the road. And of course, we've seen cases whereby in a particular estate, they tell you don't build this kind of structures, but you go ahead and erect such structures in a particular estate. They say don't build more than 2-story buildings, and you see people erecting 4-story buildings. How can this be curbed? What laws can be enacted to ensure that people adhere strictly to the master plan of any state in Nigeria?
No, like I said, the laws already exist to ensure that there is compliance. Usually when you visit the Ministry of Lands or you meet the Ministry of Lands for you to get approval for certain constructions, you would get a very clear indication as to what has that area, what was it initially earmarked for, what not. So those laws exist. With regards to the instances which you also highlighted, if you acquire an area if you acquire a property in an estate or in an area where the agreement which you signed or you entered into between the owners of the land, those who are now transferring their interest to you, and it is clear that these are the structures which we want to be in place in this particular area, and you decide to go and erect a different thing, your neighbors or the inhabitants of that area or the owners of the estate can of course bring an action. That's after perhaps they would have exhausted whatever administrative remedies that exist. Bring an action that you frustrated the contract, because I'm sure there's always a reason why certain estates insist on a number of a particular kind of specification for erection or construction. They would have done their own analysis and whatnot. So if you're doing something different that could endanger, the question is always things that can endanger. Once they can show before the court that this particular construction would cause harm, or there's a likelihood of harm which outweighs your whatever benefit which you think you would probably accrue from doing that, you would have to revert back to whatever it is that you initially entered into.
All right, thank you very much. I think this is a safe place to land. You've been brilliant. Thank you very much for touching this topic, infrastructural progress, a joint responsibility. We do hope we would also hear from you again. All right, we have been discussing infrastructural progress, a joint responsibility with Rashid Mohammed Ali Khan. He is a legal practitioner and, of course, a former vice chairman of the Young Lawyers Forum in Ibadan. Now, it was a robust and impactful conversation, I must say, and if you enjoyed it, why not join us again next week? It's been a pleasure joining us from Monday to Friday, so let's do this again next week, Monday to Friday, same station. Keep listening to High Impact 102.1 FM. Keep watching High Impact TV on Niconsat 42 degree East. I am Olumide Shokoya. Good morning.
Do you know bad production can kill a great content idea?
Do you want to have a photo shoot, audio production, or do you need a professional voiceover artist?
Do you simply want unmatched cinematography, video production, or just event coverage, such as weddings, birthdays, or burials?
Or do you need a space for meetings or conferences? All these are possible with High Impact Studios. Don't bring down your creativity. Let's help you take it high
and out of this world with our state-of-the-art equipment and first-class studio space.
We give you the quality you deserve at the best rate.
For more details, call 0706 393 5694 or 0915 958 1881.